When unexpected things happen, when change comes quickly and old values begin to lose their meaning, the mind often falls into fear or confusion. The me feels like it's living in an uncontrollable world, and that feels threatening. In this video, I'd like to offer you a view of what's happening in the world from a higher perspective, a way of seeing that brings more clarity, more calm, and perhaps even more trust. You will discover 3 powerful insights about evolution, human consciousness, and the nature of good and evil. And if you stay with this video until the end, these 3 truths will begin to fit together like pieces of a puzzle and reveal a bigger picture that may change the way you see the world. To truly understand what is going on, we need to step back and look deeper into what drives us, shapes us, and lives through us. The first great insight is, we are part of evolution, and evolution says, fight for space, expand, displace the weaker. Evolution is the basic intelligence that says the stronger or better adapted will spread its genes across the planet and will take up space and resources. Evolutionary intelligence cannot think ahead. It works through trial and error, through adaptation. This intelligence is stored in the cells of all living beings in their DNA. The DNA tells a being, do this, don't do that, fight, run, hide. If you survive and succeed, it gets stored in the DNA. If you don't, there's nothing worth storing. And now comes something even deeper to understand. What are genes and their core? They are information about a specific way to behave. That means evolution doesn't just say, spread your genes. It also says, spread your way of life, spread your view of existence, your model of reality, and take up as much space as possible with it. This is exactly what we observe in a higher form of life, especially in humans. Take a look at social media. Everyone is trying to spread their opinion, their values, their worldview. Everyone is trying to gain followers and to increase their influence. It's the same evolutionary drive, only now in digital form. And if you look at world events through this lens, you will see there are countries, groups, and individuals who seem to have only one goal: to conquer space in order to dominate it with their opinions, with their information, and sometimes even quite literally with their genes. The second great insight is, ideas and life concepts turn into me's, into an I, and these me's behave like living beings. They want to take up space. Humans have existed on this planet for only a very short time, compared to the age of the Earth, which is about 4 billion years. If you compress the entire history of life on Earth into a single calendar year, humans would appear about 1 minute before midnight of New Year's Eve. We remember nothing of what happened during that whole year behind us. We just woke up seconds ago. And even after that awakening, it still took millions of years for human consciousness and intelligence to develop. Around 10,000 years ago, more or less, the higher mind likely emerged. That was a massive step. From that point on, humans could imagine a future that didn't yet exist and solve problems in theory before they showed up in practice. This accelerated progress tremendously. But this intelligent brain came with a side effect. The same brain that can imagine the future can also imagine itself as a person. It looks in the mirror and says, this body I see, that's me. The mind identifies with the body and creates an imaginary I, a me, an ego, a kind of center of the world. And this body person quickly becomes the most important thing in existence. Me and my hunger, me and my needs, me and my wishes, me and my problems, me and all these good and bad people around me. It creates an incredible complex world, a world that no one else can see because it's pure imagination. So far, everything works fine, no problem. The concept works and is okay. The third great insight. Our cells reward any kind of success, but our soul does not. Humans are different from animals. Humans can be good or evil. An animal can only be what it is. In Animal Kingdom, there is no good or evil, because good and evil are judgments made only by a human mind or a human heart. Humans are said to have a choice. They are said to have a free will, or at least a free will within certain boundaries. So why don't the bad ones simply choose to be good? Here is a simple answer. Think about it for a moment. You are a good person. Can you consciously decide to become fundamentally evil? Maybe your first instinct is to say yes or I don't know, but honestly, you cannot really do it. You might do something wrong by accident or in an unconscious moment, but later you would regret it. An evil person does not regret it. They are glad it worked. That's the difference. You cannot simply decide to be evil. It's impossible as a cat cannot decide to be a dog. The nature of a good person is that they are not a bad person. Evolution is a story of experiments. Human intelligence was one of those experiments, and it worked. It was a success. And then came the next experiment, conscious. Nature is now testing whether humans with conscience and compassion are, in the long run, more successful than humans without them. It's a brilliant idea, because when a person lives with conscience and compassion, they are willing to share their advantages with others. They are willing to let go. And by doing so, others benefit too. And this creates a sum of collective advantages that is greater than the individual gain of just a few. Democracy tries to put this principle into practice. Its essence is this: to increase the good for people as a whole. The basic idea of democracy is to create happiness, freedom, and self-determination as far as possible for as many people as possible. The goal is for everyone to be doing reasonably well compared to systems of government in which democracy does not exist. And now the core question is, what is the good? By the way, the concept of what we now call the good was first introduced into our thinking by ancient Greek philosophy. It became and still is the great guiding principle of democracy. So here comes the truly fundamental question that helps us understand what is happening right now. What is good? Nearly all the forces currently fighting each other in the world believe we are the goods, we are right. But if everyone claims we are the ones doing good, then the real question becomes, what actually is good? We need to talk about this, because clearly radically different things are happening in the name of the same word, and everyone believes that they are doing something good. This question, what is good, is so important that philosophers have been trying to answer it for over 2,400 years. They have tried to develop systems for ethical human behavior and for good governance. This kind of deep thinking began with the philosophers of ancient Greek. They were the founders of democracy. Modern democracies are only possible because for 2,400 years people in the Western world have been encouraged to think differently, to think in terms of possibilities, in opinions, to make personal choices. That is what individual freedom really means, to have options and to be allowed to choose. So why do some countries have this kind of freedom while others don't? It actually comes down to one essential point. We in the West have this freedom of thought and action because we had the Greek philosopher Socrates. Socrates lived around 400 years before Christ. He is considered the father of philosophy. And philosophy means thinking without limits, being open to every possibility, asking questions, discussing without fear, thinking freely. But there are also other cultures that never had Socrates, cultures where people were never encouraged to think freely or perceive options, cultures in which only one single truth was allowed, given by one person or a very small group of persons. In such cultures, there is no history of consciousness and compassion. There has never been a protected space for free discussion or differing opinions. It was never permitted to openly question who is right and what is truly good or the best. This is the evolutionary model. The few rule the many. It is evolution without conscience. And in contrast, philosophy is evolution with conscience. Philosophy asks the uncomfortable question, is it truly right to do what our evolutionary instinct tell ourselves to do? It asks whether stealing, killing, and destruction are actually good or not. What is happening now? Right now, we are in a major phase of testing, a testing between different models of life. Diversity versus simplicity. Democracy versus autocracy. The power of the few versus the strength of the many. It's an experiment about which life model will survive. Evolution is asking the question once again, could the invention of conscience and ethics actually be a disadvantage? It is not God who is testing this. God created cats and mice. It's not his responsibility who ends up being good or evil. It's the responsibility of the being itself. But a cat cannot choose to stop killing mice. A human can. So, why does killing still continue if the free will could simply decide to stop it? Because there is another force besides the free will, and that force is evil. Evil feels good when bad things happen. Why? Because in the cells of every living being, including ours, there is a basic reward system. This reward system tells us, achieve a success and you get serotonin. Serotonin is a natural body-made drug that makes us feel good. Simply put, when you experience success, you feel happiness. And it doesn't matter what kind of success this is, whether good or bad. The system in the cell doesn't know the difference. As long as there is a feeling of success, the body releases reward. Only our soul knows the difference. And that is why people with a radiant soul create the kind of successes that bring light into the world. And that is why evil people can laugh at cruel things. Their cells reward them as long as they define something as a success. From the perspective of a light-filled soul, those are not real successes. That is why people with a radiant soul create the kind of successes that bring light into the world. And that is why evil people can laugh about bad things. Their cells reward them as long as they define something as a success. From the perspective of a light-filled soul, those are not real successes. But from the perspective of a dark soul, or from a being without any soul at all, even evil things can appear as a genuine success. So where is all this leading us? What we are experiencing right now is not the end of the story. It's an ongoing story, one that we are writing. If you're watching this video, then you are part of the story that is being written. You are part of the experiment, part of the possibility. You carry within you the ability to choose consciously, to act not only from instinct or ego, but from conscience and clarity. You can be a light. Focus on what is good. Stand up for what is good consciously. Bring the good into the world. And know you are not alone. There are millions and millions of people, quiet, humble, and clear, who are carrying a light within them. A light that doesn't fight, but simply shines. And the more of us shine with calm and clarity, the more visible another world becomes. A world that doesn't fight darkness with darkness, but transforms it by not being part of it. So stay awake, stay kind, and above all, stay on the light side of being human.